Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another episode of Cubfidential, where the greatest coverage rather, from Wrigley comes after dark. I am the producer, Mr. Cubfidentiality, and we got a jam-packed show tonight. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get it started and bring in the Brooklyn bad boy, the one and only, the host of Cubfidential, Mr. JB Ellis. Come on in here.
What's going on, Mr. Confidentiality?
Hey, nothing much, man. Just taking it easy. How you doing?
Been a great week. We got some W's.
Yes, absolutely, including a shutout tonight. Can you believe that?
Listen, it's becoming a habit. They're winning. They're pitching well. They're hitting.
I think what Jenn suggested for weeks, the team building activities, I think they're starting to work. So
I don't know. They got into a little scuffle tonight too.
They did, but it looks like they're playing and they're fighting with some passion. So, but yeah, I'm gonna toss it to you, and it looks like Jordan's up on deck.
All right, so we're gonna start out really quick. Another huge win tonight. We got Jordan coming in. Going to talk about what happened last week. Jordan, welcome.
Hey, JB.
So Cubs went out west.
They did.
They went to their spring training home, Arizona, and they did well. Tell us what happened in Arizona.
Well, the first game didn't start out very well, but 4-3, we lost. We had a chance at the top of the 8th inning, had Contreras on third with 2 outs, and Rivas ended up flying out. But you know what? I thought we played a lot better. I mean, we had 7 strikeouts, but 5 hits. Little bit shaky there, but hey, 4 walks. I'll take the patience at the plate. And honestly, Smiley, I thought, played well. He went 6 innings and had the loss, but you know what? I'll take 6 innings. And he had the only thing I didn't like about him, though, is he had 10 hits on Friday. And then on Saturday, that one was a little scary. The reason why I'm saying that is because we were tied at 1 going into the 9th, scored 3 to take a 4-1 lead. Arizona had a chance. They put Wick in and had a chance to actually tie this game. Had in the bottom of half and actually had the tying run of the play, scored 1 run. But hey, we came up with the win there. And we were looking at, trying to win the rubber match on Sunday. Actually, a game that I went to, but I'll get there in a minute. Yan Gomes went 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs. Suzuki and Happ with the other 2 hits. Ortega and Hayward, the 2 other RBIs, and 3 strikeouts for the Cubs and 4 walks. Not bad. I mean, I don't like the strikeouts, but hey, we're starting to be a little more patient. And Hendricks, 5.2 innings, 5 hits, 2 strikeouts, 1 earned run, 2 walks. And if you look at the bullpen, still not too bad. Aferrasos, 1 strikeout. Norris, 4 strikeouts. Givens got the win, working 2/3 of an inning and 1 hit. Wicker in the save, 1 inning pitch, 1 earned run with 3 strikeouts. And honestly, I'm happy to see this pitching staff actually coming together. At least in that game, had 10 strikeouts.
Yeah, I mean, night and day. Last week, it was doom and gloom. This week, they left the friendly confines. They went out west last week, went to San Diego, spent the weekend in Arizona. It's like a new team.
It really is. Hey, it's nice weather over there. I mean, I know Chicago can be a little bit hit or miss, but hey, going to San Diego where it's warm, of course, Arizona. Luckily, they have an indoor ballpark, but still, the nice weather, and they may have gone to the beach while they were in San Diego a little bit. Why not? I mean, like you guys were talking about, they had some team-building activities maybe, and they're actually playing ball and having fun. Of course, Sunday, I went to the game I went to, and the thing is this was a very well-pitched game by Steele, and I actually liked what he had. He actually pitched, he kept him off balance, had 10 strikeouts and 6 innings pitched. And honestly, I thought it was great the way he was pitching. He ended up, having pitches low in the zone, and the Diamondbacks were actually swinging and missing. Aferrasos, 1 inning pitched, and Wick. It was kind of a shaky save there, but, 1 inning pitch, gave up 1 hit. He actually ended up having the bases. He had 2 on with 1 out and got the guy who was up to hit into a double play to end the inning. Luckily, we end up with the win, and I can tell you half of that crowd was Arizona Diamondback fans and half of it was Cubs fans. So I got to actually celebrate with Cubs fans. But I got to say, Ortega had a leadoff home run to actually start the game. I didn't expect that. He hits one to right field. I didn't really get a chance to see it just because of where I was sitting. I just saw all these Cubs fans celebrating. I'm like, okay, he must have had a home run. But I mean, if you go to Arizona, it's an indoor stadium, and it's actually really nice just because you're indoors. It's not 110 degrees out. But I will say that we also had Wisdom with a home run on which actually helped us go 2-0. And actually, unfortunately, Arizona ended up tying the game. But going to the ninth, tied at 2. Schwanda with 2 on ended up smacking a ball into right field and ended up getting the win. And I saw a lot of W flags, which was nice. But I have to say, I'm very, very surprised with Suzuki. I mean, I haven't gotten a chance to watch him live. If you do, go watch him because, man, he had one nice diving catch that actually in the first inning, he basically played a ball that hit the wall, and basically it's a little bit weird in Arizona, the dimensions there, and luckily he ended up making up for it with the diving catch. I don't know what's going on with my computer, JB.
I don't know. You see, we're having all sorts of technical difficulties. The Poker Dice came out at night tonight.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I'm getting all these messages for some reason. I couldn't tell you why.
It's all the Cubs fans. They're excited. We're winning.
Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah, we'll go with that.
So, all right, you went to the game on Sunday, right? What was the breakdown as far as fans? How good did the fans travel to Arizona?
I would say, honestly, it was, I mean, there were only, I want to say 23 or 24,000, but I'd say 12, at least half the crowd was just Cubs fans. Some that probably live in the area because, it's nice there. And then half of them were, Diamondbacks fans. But can tell you the Cubs fans got louder as we were saying, let's go Cubs. And honestly, we drowned out the Diamondback fans.
So, all right, we got 1, 2 out of 3. Arizona's not a great team, but they did what they had to do. They want to beat a team they should be beating. But overall, the offense still, 10 runs in a 3-game series, not something that's going to knock your socks off. The pitching was great, gave up 8 runs in 3 games. So, overall, there's a lot of positives, but what negative do you take out of the weekend?
Honestly, it's the fact that we're still kind of swinging outside with pitches outside the zone. We're just smacking them outside the zone, and some of them were just outside pitches. It's like, why are we swinging at that? But overall, definitely got some offense going. Unfortunately, it was only 3 runs when I went, and you said it wasn't very high scoring, but I can tell you we need to just be more patient at the plate. And our defense was a little shaky. Our shortstop had 1 error, a ball that he really should have had, and that was the only error of the game. And like I said, Suzuki luckily didn't get an error; it just hit off the wall weirdly, and he overplayed it. But honestly, we're starting to come together, which is nice.
So I mean, talking about the pitching, 8 runs over 3 games, that's less than 3 runs a game. Great ERA. The bullpen keeping the games close, not giving up big, middle inning runs when the starters aren't going long. So is this a product of David Ross's managing the team, or is this just the right pieces there that are finally clicking after a lackluster first month?
I would have to say it's finally clicking because, I mean, David Ross went to his bullpen a couple of times, but Steele went 6 innings on the game I saw and had 10 strikeouts. And then if you look at the offensive side of the ball, I know we didn't score a lot of runs, but we're finally getting the timely hits. I mean, and then the 9th inning that I went to, you had Wisdom hit a ball over the first baseman's head. So we're starting to click. Whether it'll keep going, I hope so. I mean, we had 7 runs tonight. We beat Pittsburgh last night. I mean, everything's going right now.
Now, what's going on with Stroman with his rehab? What's the projections?
They hope in the next few days, or at least in the next week. I know the reason why he was actually scratched from the Dodgers series, a week ago, was because he had COVID-19. Now he's starting to feel better, and I heard Ross in the papers. I think I read the Chicago Tribune, sorry, that he's going to be ready to go. It's just up to him when he feels better to go into, I would assume he'd go to Iowa. It would make the most sense to get some rehab, but he needs some rehab starts. And you could see it when he started this year. He was 1-3 with an ERA of 5.13. And the 5.113 is just unacceptable. And he gave up 4 home runs and 7 walks. My question is, how was he feeling because of the fact that he had COVID-19, or at least he's had it. He tested positive. Now he's testing negative, which is a good thing.
Okay. And I mean, looking at the upcoming schedule, Iowa would probably make the most sense, or maybe even South Bend just to get them some quick work. Not too far. They're not going too far in the next couple of weeks. Cincinnati and Pittsburgh is the next road stand, and they go to crosstown over to the White Sox before they come home back to the Brewers. So there's not too much traveling after going out west for the next 2 weeks or so. So next, coming up now, we have our new segment. Like buy or sell, we call it Cub or Dud. So this week's question, right, with the trade deadline, the end of July, Wilson Contreras.
Honestly, I thought he was going to be gone last trade deadline just because we got rid of Rizzo, we got rid of Baez and Bryant. I'm going to say by the trade deadline, I'm going to say he's going to be a dud. He's going to be gone. We're going to get something for him only because if we're still 10 games out, why keep him around? Why not have him be on a team that has a chance to win the World Series and go far? I mean, he's a great catcher. I love Wilson Contreras, but at this point we are trying to rebuild. So why not get something for him?
Yeah. I mean, when you look at something like tonight where you have a little skirmish because of a play at the plate that involves Contreras, and from what I saw, he was trying to help Vogelbach up, and they got into it. He's coming out as their leader. We asked that question last week. Who's the leader of the team? And he definitely came out tonight showing that he's the leader of the way the team rallied around him. So that's an interesting take. I don't know. What are you looking to get if you're trading a guy like Wilson Contreras?
You got to get prospects. You got to get something. And I would have to think you could even get some money for him, get a couple of prospects. You're not going to get high prospects, but get some so you can rebuild the minor league system. I know ours is great, but you still got to get something for him. And maybe even, I want to say someone that you can put off the bench, to be honest, but that's all depends on what value he has out there. I know he has one more year of arbitration before he goes to free agency.
Definitely. So, Jordan, where can people find you?
You can follow me at SportsScoop1 on Twitter. I have a blog that I write Mondays through Thursdays with podcasts on Fridays at sports-scoop.com. And I also have a live stream that you can actually find on my blog that's called Under Review. It's mostly Colorado sports with a sprinkling of national sports headlines as well.
Jordan, it was a pleasure as always. Look forward to seeing you next week, and we'll talk some more, hopefully, positive things.
Exactly. And hopefully I get these computer glitches out of the way. That was just odd. I don't know where they were coming from.
I'm telling you, it was the poker dice with the Cubs on this, awakening this week.
Yeah, I'll go with it.
All right. Be good, Jordan. Speak to you next week.
Sounds good, JB.
All right. So that was Jordan Long. Coming up next, we got Stevie Bat Schwanda talking about the San Diego series.
Wait, hold on real quick. Let me try to be cool like you real quick. Hold on.
You got the Shockey jersey. Mine's Victor Cruz. So
I thought yours was Cruz, but I was like, we're gonna go Shockey. I'm gonna go Giant 80. Well, I guess my first Giant 80 was Phil McConkey, but I'll age myself. But
good old Phil.
Old, but the Cubs playing the Fathers. And what a I mean, Hendricks so close so close to a complete game, 8 2/3. But he was at 116 pitches, so I get it. I'm not gonna, as much as I would like to see him finish the job, I'm not gonna, go off on that. But pitched great, 8 2/3, only gave up 3 hits, walked 1, 7 strikeouts, 11 ground ball outs. I mean, he just pitched really well, but obviously 116 pitches, it was time for him to come out. But 6-0 game. Contreras had a 3 for 4 days. Suzuki had a double and an RBI. Surrey and Hap had a couple RBIs and a double. And I mean, you were talking about it there with Jordan. I mean, this is 4 in a row and 6 of their last 8. So obviously you want to be excited, for how they're playing right now. Though we will be honest, they're playing some teams that aren't the greatest. So you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. But then you go in the middle game of that series and you lose 5-4, where it was a 3-3 game, and you give up 2 in the 6th, and it's kind of one of those bullpen type games where the starter only goes 3 innings, and talk about each side of the spectrum. You have a game where the starter goes 8 2/3, and the next day the starter goes 3. So you have to deal with that sometimes. But Hap had another RBI, Rivas hit a home run, but still respectable. And then of course you win the series by winning 7-5, which it was good because you won, but definitely some concerning things in that third game against the Padres where you're up 5-2 in the 5th, and then gave up 1 run in the 6th, 2 runs in the 7th. So you end up blowing a save, but then getting a win. Nothing like when you get a win and your stats are 1 inning pitch, 2 runs, 2 earned.
It's the most misleading stat in baseball.
Don't save, but you got the win. Good job, bud. Yeah.
It's really a misleading stat, in baseball. The relief pitcher wins sometimes because they can blow a game like that, and they just get lucky when the offense comes alive. But I mean, you got to take it. It's a huge positive. You go to San Diego. The Padres right now are 22-13.
Yeah.
They're right in the thick of things in the West.
And 23 now. Yeah, 23-13 now because they just won.
Yeah.
So they're only a half game back of the Dodgers, and we all know, what kind of lineup the Dodgers have. So gotta take it 2 out of 3 in San Diego. That was definitely big. I mean, the Pittsburghs and the Arizonas and the Cincinnatis of the world. Yeah, those are the games that you have to handle, obviously, if you want to be even semi-competitive. But I mean that San Diego series was a really good series to get a series win. And obviously, I mean, if they can get 2 out of 3 every series, we'll be really happy.
Especially, I mean, when you beat the teams you're supposed to beat, that's important. I mean, Arizona was huge for that. But when you play a team like San Diego that's, playing really well, 10 games over 500, and you can win 2 out of 3 from them in their park, and especially Petco's not a place to go and score or hit home runs. The offense was alive. So those are a lot of positive signs.
Yeah, I mean, you'll take 18 runs in a 3-game series. You'll take that, when we right around, 6 runs a game, you're going to take that, so a lot better than 3. So, we'll take, I mean, but the last 4 games, 23-4, the last 4 games, during this 4-game win streak. And like I said, yes, it's not against the top echelon because you have Pittsburgh here and all that good stuff, but like you said, you got to beat the teams that you got to beat, and everybody's still a professional, everybody's still wanting to win, especially because it's early in the season where it's never too early to kind of look at that. And I know you're going to ask about it in a second, but it's never too early to look at that and be like, well, they're only 4.5 out of the wild card, so I mean you have to make that decision there, which I know we'll get to in a second, but it's definitely been a great week. That's for sure. And you got some more games here against Arizona at Wrigley coming up ahead of us. So hopefully they can, kind of put a string together here, and because you're going to have those, 4 or 5 game losing streaks or 6 out of 10 or whatever. So if you can get those win streaks where you're winning 8 out of 10, obviously it's where you want to be. It's such a long season. So if you just take I mean, I try to take 10-game increments, and just, I mean, if you can go, even if you go, I mean, I'd love to go 7-3, but even if you go 6-4 every 10, you're still a heck of a lot better than 15-20, So
You're a definite wild card team if you go 6-4 at every 10 games without question.
absolutely.
I mean, you can't play baseball like the Mets, Dodgers, Yankees, and Astros have played this first month and a half. It doesn't happen. Those teams will all fall off. The Mets were the last team to lose the series this weekend against Seattle, and we're about a month and a half in.
Yeah.
So that in itself is a rarity. But if you could go 6-4 consistently, you're going to be in the playoffs without a doubt with the wild cards, especially with two of them.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the player of the week. This Cubs for You player of the week. Who do we have this week?
Yes. Yes. There was a few people that I was looking at. I mean, obviously I was gonna, Contreras was an easy one because he's hit a couple of, bombs, hit a grand slam the other day, but I thought that was too easy. And because of his 353 batting average and over 400 or 429 actually on base percentage, I'm giving it to Ortega as this Cubs for You for the week. He had a solid 6 hits, a double, a home run, 4 RBIs, 3 walks, only 3 strikeouts, where Contreras had 5 strikeouts this week. So just giving him that props a little bit. So he'll be my first this Cubs for You. And on the other side, I don't want, because I don't want to be too. I'm trying to be. I'm a positive person, but the only thing that I am concerned about during this stretch is Mr. Wisdom is really struggling right now, and he had 3 more strikeouts tonight. He had he's batting 174 for the week and had 12 strikeouts going in the week. So that's 15 strikeouts in the last 6 games. Not great. So that's troubling.
You know what I noticed with Wisdom? He goes through spurts. He did this last year when he first got called up. He went on that tear where he was just hitting home runs every day. And then after that, he tailed off horribly. Swings on a lot of bad pitches. I think the best thing for him is to just be more patient at the plate, let the pitches come to him. Because once major league pitchers adjust to you or realize you're going to swing at everything, there's no reason for them to throw you strikes.
Right, exactly.
And they're not going. It's not going to be a fastball. It's going to be an off-speed pitch that you're not expecting, and you're not going to hit anything.
Yeah.
So,
and Jordan touched on it. Swinging at bad pitches, and being a little bit more selective at the plate. And I think the other thing that helps with that, and for everybody, is if you have that confidence that, hey, man, you're going to be in the lineup every day, so you're going to get 3-4 at bats every game. You're in this for us. We're in this with you, and we'll keep. Obviously, now it's so different than as soon as you strike out, you go to the dugout and they got the iPad pulled up and you got every pitch breakdown and all that stuff. So you got the film to look at. You go down to the cage and work at it in between innings, all that stuff. So they're going to get it figured out. But yeah, having that because it's so tough if you get a spot start once a week, to try to get yourself in a rhythm. So just be like, hey, you're going to have those 1 for 20 stretches, but you're also going to have some 8 for 20 stretches and 10 for 20 stretches, and so let's just kind of right the ship a little bit. So it's just kind of something that I want to kind of keep an eye on, but has been doing great, which I love. I'm a big Ian Happ fan, so I've been happy with the way he's been playing recently, and hopefully this good vibes can continue, and we can still be talking about positive things next week.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing with the stretches, I have no problem with going for, a guy that just has a bad luck stretch where they go 1 for 20 when they're productive outs.
Yeah.
Put the ball in play. Put the pressure on the defense to make plays. But strikeouts on bad pitches, you're just giving away outs.
Yeah.
You can't do that. You only get 27 of them in a game. Once you start doing that, it just doesn't work. You're making it that much easier for your opponents, and it's not a good look.
Yeah, and absolutely, you're absolutely right. Because sometimes you have that thing like, oh, well, it's a ground out. But yeah, it was a ground out with no outs with a runner on second that got him to third, right? So that's a productive out. nice ground ball. You get the runner over. Now you can have a sac fly, and now you help score a run. So that's a productive out. But yeah, those strikeouts, especially if they're in the dirt and you're just swinging away, or it's above your head, you're just swinging away at everything. That's when because you put it in play. I tell this to my 11-year-old son all the time. Hey, you just put the ball in play. I mean, so many things have to happen for you to be out. Somebody has to field it well. Somebody has to throw it well. And obviously it happens way more at 11-year-olds than professional, but you still see it in professional that, somebody they'll hurry on a throw and it will pull the first baseman off the bag or something. So if you put it in play, stuff can happen. If you swing at bad pitches and strike out, nothing really good can happen. So
exactly. So now it's time for the Cub or dud.
Yes.
So Contreras, is he going to be a Cub for the rest of the year?
I shouldn't get caught up in it right now because they're playing so well, but I am going to. I'm going to say they are going to keep him. And I think you're right that he is the leader of this team. Obviously, him and Hayward just went to the injured list today without any justification, so they're assuming that it's COVID related. But, they're the only two, obviously, position players left from 2016. We all know the story, obviously, and, blowing it up last year. But I think that you keep Contreras as the leader of the team. I think as a catcher, you're a natural leader, obviously, with the pitching staff, but just being that guy. And, I'm hoping that they're going to be just good enough where they at least have a shot at the wild card, especially with the extra wild card, that they're not going to completely, throw in the towel at the trade deadline because, you still have all those home games a year that you got to, and Wrigley, I don't think you're ever going to see, people not want to go to Cubs games, but you do want to put a good product out on the field. So I'm going to say right now, if I had to, which I do, so I'm saying it, he will stay a Cub through this year and hopefully at least a couple more years in the future and, be there to turn this thing around.
Now, if you were to trade him, right, what would you want to get for him?
Well, obviously, like Jordan said, and he's exactly right. Obviously, you're going to get prospects for him. And, because your farm system can never be strong enough. Always get, if you could get one good arm and one position player for him, you take it because you give it yourselves a shot. And if they're going to walk anyway for nothing, you might as well get something for them. I mean, obviously it would be great if you get a major league ready prospect for them, but that's not going to happen unless a team gets super, super, panic basically. And if somebody makes a move that, that they're chasing and they get panicked, then they oversell. But most likely that team, obviously, because they know too, like, hey, well, you're trying to get rid of them. We're not going to give you, a good prospect for it. We'll throw in our, 23rd ranked prospect or something. But all of a sudden, if you can kind of hold on as long as you possibly can, and then you get that team to panic a little bit, then maybe you can get a more, major league ready prospect or either a really good position player prospect or just, one or two good young arms where, if you get 2-3 good young arms for them, if one of them pans out, then it's worth it. But obviously with baseball, there's so many more examples of guys being traded for people that didn't work out than people who did. But,
So out of the prospects of the teams that you're looking at that are in the playoff hunt, we'll talk about like the teams that are kind of running away with it. Which team do you think would make a run for him if he's available?
Well, yeah, that's a good question because I think some of the teams that are running away with it, I don't think is going to really need Wilson Contreras that much. So then the better question is which team will be chasing that thinks that one extra bat, will bring them over the hump. And you know what? My crystal ball is not quite working yet. We're a little bit too early. I'd say by, middle of June, probably have a better idea. I mean, baseball, it's always like, where are you at Memorial Day? Where are you at July 4th? Where are you at Labor Day? Right. So, when we get to that point, I might have a little bit better guess. But truthfully, right now, I see it more as the team that is trying to catch a team. Then it will be like, oh yeah, the Dodgers or the Mets or somebody who Yankees, somebody who's playing really, really well right now are going to be like, oh yeah, we're just going to add Contreras just because, why not? So.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's interesting. I don't know where he would fit in because right now the top teams, they don't really need him. I mean, you look at the American League, it's going to be a dogfight. The Yankees, you have the Rays are still in it with right behind them, so they're really good. Then the out west.
Yeah, the Rays always play, even with their $5 million payroll or whatever it is.
Exactly. Then you go out west, and you got the Astros and Angels, who are both really good teams. So somebody may want to just add the bat to give them that extra push, but you never know. It'll be interesting. Steve, stick around a little bit. We're going to have you back for the confrontation in about 10, 12 minutes or so. And where can people find you just before you head off?
Yeah, easiest way, just find me on Twitter, All Eyes on You, the letter U, All Eyes on You Hoops. I'm on the NBA Carousel every Monday. When I stay up past my bedtime, I'm on this wonderful show. And, hopefully one or two other sprinklings throughout. But yeah, find me on Twitter anytime. And my basketball website, All Eyes on You Hoops. And hit me up.
I appreciate it, Steve. Talk to you in a few minutes.
Sounds good.
All right. So that was Steve Schwanda, Stevie Bats. Next, we got the one and only, the Pundits Pundit, Jacob Christner.
Hey, how's it going this evening?
Doing well. How you doing?
Well, all I can think about is a song in Jay's honor right now from that little title of his. What you look in my eyes, what do you see? Mr. Cubfidentiality.
Wow, that may have to be like our little what do you call it? A little
like
intro.
A song or something.
That's gonna be like our intro when we put it out, when we start doing ads for the show.
Trust me, I am not singing it.
Oh, you're gonna have to. I think that's the whole selling point of it.
What's going on tonight?
So we're gonna talk about probably one of my favorite Cubs of all time, and the first Hall of Famer I've ever got to interview. So who are we gonna talk about? You tell me.
You talking about my hero growing up. Well, there was Larry Bird, obviously, but I'm talking about baseball. Talking about my very first one I liked was Leon Durham. This is the funny part. I don't know. How do you get to that? I don't know if it was the glasses. I don't know. Maybe sexy. I don't know. But it was just Andre Dawson was just completely different. I remember he came in '87. Basically, the whole story of it was he was in Montreal. His knees were ruined. And he wanted to play. He still wanted to play, but his knees were trash. So he went with a blank check. Basically took a blank check with him to Chicago and says, let's pick his number, $500,000. Got an MVP. The biggest thing, it was the gutsiest, but pretty much the gutsiest thing we'll never see again. For one thing, a blank check, anything like that. There's way too many rules now. But he was so fun, and this was at a time when I'm looking at big dudes. I'm a 9-year-old guy. It's all muscles. I'm watching all the TV shows, everything like that. He is the one baseball player at my time that I saw with the actual physique. Everybody else, no.
Yeah.
So and then he hit big, powerful home runs, and then he looked like a badass. And you just look like someone you do not mess with. And then he's even cooler. He's a nice guy.
Oh, he is a phenomenally nice guy. Great interview. I enjoyed speaking with him. Got to ask him about the times in Montreal. Because he they had a great team. How they didn't win, in the late 70s and early 80s.
Especially Reigns. Oh, Lord.
Carter, Reigns. They had some amazing talent back then. And then he came to Chicago, and he just made it into his home.
Well, 49-137 with a 287 average, for an MVP and a last place team. That's something that won't happen again because everybody's looking for who can help team win. He wasn't exactly a wins above replacement,
right.
The guy in the first place. So maybe a comparison to whoever played that last. But I'm like, no, Dawson had everything. He had an amazing arm in the right field. Amazing arm, great power, and he was a smart hitter. He hit 300 3 or 4 times. And it's like a smart hitter. He didn't, for a power hitter, he didn't strike out a whole bunch. You know what I mean? It's like you see a lot of his, like, I remember there's a 3 home run game against the Phillies. Like 2 of those home runs were 0-2. He's just able to keep holding it off and hit home runs. And it's like most players now at 0-2, they're swinging for fences. I mean, he was a smart hitter.
Yeah. I mean, a weird stat. You know, he was one of the only 5 people to hit a home run, 2 home runs in 1 inning.
That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, he was an amazing player, you know.
Well, like Jack went off of an All-Star game. Jack going off of Roger Clemens. I mean, and that was never easy to do because that guy had so much spin on his ball.
Yeah. I mean, so what was your favorite Andre Dawson memory?
Oh, Lord. 3 home runs against the Phillies. Going after Eric Shaw when he got hit in the face with that ball. Let's see. I would say 49. The 40, you know, the MVP season, the whole MVP season, I would say there. I would say the All-Star game, the game against the Pirates where they come back from 6 and then they lose anyway because of his home run, his grand slam. There's a pile of them. There's a pile of them. You got to remember, I'm 8, 9 years old watching this guy. 9 years old. I mean, this was my first baseball hero. There's no question about it. And it's like, and I wish he would stay longer.
So was he your favorite Cub of all time? Or
Yeah. Because it would have been Maddox and Stick. You know, it's like, I mean, this is the funniest thing. It's like I liked power pitcher. I was a big fan of Kerry Wood, for instance. But other than Kerry Wood and like Andre Dawson with the power and everything, I've always kind of liked the finesse. And Greg was that. So it's like it would have been Greg if he stayed. But no, it was Andre. There's no question. Kerry Wood if he would have lasted longer. But he didn't. See, that's the whole thing. It's like Andre only lasted 5 years. So it shouldn't be. But it was just the only reason it was because it was the first. He was the first.
Yeah, I mean, he was a phenomenal player. You know.
Well, his knees got trashed. And that's the reason he wasn't above there, you know?
Yeah, can you imagine him? I mean, before his knees, when he was in Montreal, he had 30 stolen bases. How many times? Let's look. 1, 2, 3. Like 3 6. Times. And he was
okay.
3 times. He had 39 was his high in 82. But that turf, that turf up there was horrible.
He stole bases with the Cubs, too, with those bad knees. You know, he hustled a lot.
No. He was a guy that always played hard, you know, gave your all.
Hustle.
Olympic Stadium, that AstroTurf was almost like playing on cement, you know.
Oh yeah, well, like Veterans Stadium was too. You know, a lot of that whole. That's the one thing I'm glad for this forward-thinking era as far as things. No more AstroTurf.
Yeah, I mean the guy played. You look at his career, you know, except for his rookie year, he had over and in '89, except for those 2 years. Up until 92, he had over 550 at-bats every year. You don't do that unless you're playing. His games...
No. See, I've always said, I think it was the influence of who I grew up with, you know, the kind of dad I grew up with. But everybody I was fan of was hustlers. Everybody. I mean, Walter Payton. Walter Payton was 84 to 87, so I got 3 years of him. I mean, that guy did not go down. Andre the Dawson, and I mean, who hustled more? Larry Bird. I mean, that didn't take it to playoff. I guess that is my thing. It's like where I watch. It's like it's going to be in vain. You know what I mean? It's going to be in vain. That time will never come back. I wish it would. I think Tim Tebow. I think I like Tim Tebow with the time because he felt like the last. It felt like the last. Even though he wasn't going to be ever as good, he hustled hard. And it's going to be hard to find that again. There are players that do it in moments. Like we talked about Pat Bev, you know what I'm saying? When he play, you know, he will hustle on defense and stuff like that. But players that just go every single second of the time, that will never happen again.
I definitely hear you. I mean, there are a few and far between. You know, I mean, he got the nickname Hawk from his uncle because he would, you know, go after the ball. That, you know, most people would go away from it, but he would just go for it. So that's why his uncle came up with the nickname at a young age.
Oh,
But
Hawk was a badass. He
yes,
was a bad. That's
yes,
a
he
badass
was.
name. That's a badass name.
Great guy. But let's go from one great Cub to the guy who got his 100th home run the other night for the Cubs.
Oh.
So our Cub or Dud segment.
Yeah.
Is Contreras with the team at the trade deadline?
No.
No.
Nope. And
All right.
neither is Hendricks, unfortunately.
So where is Contreras going right now?
Well, I could see because they're around there, I could see the Angels. Because they're around, I could see the Angels for that because they're going to need another thing of pop in itself. And then I see Hendricks again. I'm just going to add him. I can see Hendricks going to either New York team, especially the Mets right now, considering they're not going to have, like I said, they're not going to have DeGrom for 2 more months. And I don't think he plays this year. They're just going to find something else. They're going, and it's almost going to be the irony that I've been talking 2 years. You've been seeing me. Me. I've been talking over and over about the type of pitcher. And that's the type of play, it's like you want instead of DeGrom, and that's who would be replacing.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of wild to look at it because, the last 2 weeks, they made up a lot of ground in the wild card that go back down to 4.5 out of it as of tonight. They're playing good baseball. Are you willing to sell on the team? I mean, we're talking 2 months from now, but at the same time, are you willing to do that?
Well, you got to realize they played some. San Diego's good, but it's like Arizona and Pittsburgh aren't good teams. So it's like so you can't really tell yet. The biggest thing about it is the fact, for one thing, also is I don't want to see Contreras at the top of the lineup. It's like I never liked that. I mean, Joe Madden really put a bad habit on that thing in the first place, putting power hitters at the top of the lineup. They go. Right. I mean, when they're hitting hard. It's like, but when they're not. They're about a 10-day. They're a 10-day slump, and you need that person on. It's why I liked Corey Patterson back in the time. It's why I liked It's why I liked Dexter Fowler in the World Series year.
Table setters. Yeah. They're called table setters for a reason. They get on base. They make things happen. They put the pressure on the defense because they can move a little bit. They have speed. Then the power hitter comes up, hits the ball into the gap. They got to make throws. It extends the defense. Yeah. It changes the game.
Oh, and I like Dave Martinez back in the day, 89. You know what I mean? He did the same thing. It's like you need to have a table setter. This is the one thing Joe Madden made a bad habit of. It can be Bryce Harper. It's like, no, I don't want to see that. It's like I don't want to see anything like that. I don't want to see a big power hitter and the thing. I want them where they belong. You need guys on base.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that you want to have your quicker contact hitters up at the beginning of the lineup. That's how I would construct my lineup. But it's just insane to see it. I don't think Ross should be there. I would rather fire Ross now and keep Contreras than anything else. If I'm the Cubs, I sign him to an extension tomorrow and keep him. But I don't know. The Ricketts have this thing about spending money, and
they want to spend it on the park and everything else around the park, and not the players. But no, the biggest issue I have, with it all is just the fact that it's like, when it comes to a Contreras, when it comes to any of these players, we talking about how great they're doing right now. I'm just saying this: the Pittsburgh, Arizona. You get all these teams, but it's like these aren't great teams. They are 15-20 right now.
Right.
15-20 right now, but they played an Atlanta team that wasn't even that good and who will get better and got absolutely slapped. They got slapped by the Dodgers.
Well, not many teams are going to beat the Dodgers. So
they're not. But that's the point. Remember when I brought up the second show of the year? I brought this up. It's like we're going to see what the Cubs do when they fight, because they hadn't lost the series yet. And I said, let's see what they're going to do against winning teams. And they got absolutely slapped.
I definitely hear you. Huh? So Jacob, where can people find you?
Well, I am on starting again next year, depending on who the team is, the NBA Carousel. Tuesday nights here. Thursday nights is Pundits Pundit with Jenn. With Jenn, of course. Everybody knows that. Sunday nights is the Basket Bros. So it's like, and then I've also got published work, and I'm on Twitter, I'm on Facebook, and well, sometimes Instagram.
All right, Jacob. We'll see you again in a few minutes for the confrontation.
Sure, absolutely.
All right, so we're going to bring in Mr. Cubfidentiality now to announce our confrontation.
Sound the bell.
What do we got going tonight?
So here's what is going to happen. We've got the Cubfrontation, and that is, should Wilson Contreras lead off in the order? In the red corner, we've got the Pundits Pundit himself, the biggest Larry Bird fan on the planet, and obvious and Andre Dawson fan, Mr. Jacob Christner, all the way from Atlanta, GA. And then in the blue corner, we've got, well, the guy who named our new segment, This Cubs for You. He also was a Warriors fan, and he took his warm-up shot. He says he's ready to go. So Stone Cold Steve Schwanda out of the blue corner. Let's get it rolling.
So just before you go, Mr. Cubfidentiality, can we fit any more Cub puns into the show? I love it. We got, Cubfidential, Confrontation, This Cubs for You. What are we missing? Like, this is amazing. We got to just keep coming up with Cub stuff.
Hot Cub Time Machine?
I love it. That's going to be, when we talk about like Andre Dawson, that's the name of the segment.
There we go. Hot Cub Time Machine. I'm sure I can think of like 100 more.
Listen, everybody watching right now, you just saw how the production of a major show goes. That's Mr. Cubfidentiality himself coming up with the name Hot Cub Time Machine. I love it. So let's bring in the Pundits Pundit. Let's get this started. Jacob, you got 2 minutes. Let's make it happen.
I hope you all heard me. But just right now, I don't want to see a big, powerful hitter at the top of a lineup. It shouldn't be here. Joe Madden brought a bad habit into this that a lot of managers are copying, including David Ross right now. He's bringing these bad habits of these big, powerful hitters at the top of the lineup, and then who's in the cleanup plate? Who's in the cleanup at that point? We don't know. Every single time, it can be different players. What happened in 2016 is we had Dexter Fowler, the table setter. We had everything. That is what killed, when he left, that is what killed the Cubs dynasty. The future, the potential dynasty right there when he left. That killed everything, because all of a sudden now we've had 150, 175 different lineups, different leadoff hitters. They are table setters. They are not supposed to be big, powerful pop hitters. That guy's supposed to be in the cleanup spot. You're supposed to have guys on base. This isn't a thing. This isn't a thing. It's like, as much as I like Dusty Baker, I don't like what he says about it. It doesn't matter if they're on base and there's no one scoring. I want people on base. There's a threat. And the threats always start, no doubt about it, with the leadoff hitter. And it's not with the big guy with the pop. Because either they get really hot and they have a solo home run, or they're a 10-day slump. And it stinks.
All right. So that was the Pundits Pundit saying why it's a bad idea. So now we have Stevie Bat Schwanda coming up. He's going to tell us why the pundit is not very pundit correct tonight. You got 2 minutes. You're in, you're out.
Yeah. No, it's very simple. I know why why Madden did it. It's probably the same reason why Ross did it, obviously, because he was, taught by him. But it's very simple. I understand what you want, and I miss Dexter Fowler too. I absolutely agree. When Fowler left, that was pretty much the end of the Cubs winning back to back or 3 out of 4 years, or what we all thought would have happened after the first one. But the bottom line is, there's not a leadoff hitter on this team right now. So having Contreras be your leadoff hitter, it means he's going to get more at-bats. And you want your best hitter to get more at-bats. That was the only reason why Madden started doing it. It's just like, hey, I want my best hitter to have the most at-bats. It makes sense. You want your best hitter to have the most at-bats. So I'll make it clear, simple, and easy. he's your best hitter. We want him to have the most at-bats. So if every game he gets one extra at-bat, that means each week he gets 6 or 7 more at-bats. There's more chances for him to hit doubles, to hit home runs, to hit RBIs, because hopefully the first time of the game is the only time where he's not coming up with somebody on base. So you get him to turn that order around, get him right there at the top, especially now without with the DH now in the NL as well. You're not going to have that pitcher spot right before you. So hopefully there'll be some people on base. And right now, Contreras is really their best option because he's their best hitter. It's pure and simple.
All right, so that was Stevie Bats. Now, Jacob, you got 1 minute to tell Stevie Bats why he's bat blight crazy. Go ahead. All on you.
Okay. Let me ask this part. I mean, by itself, why not Villar? Why not Villar? Second baseman, 241. I mean, by itself, Contreras hitting power, 275, but why isn't he in the cleanup spot? Those are the things. It's not like you can put. And here's the thing, and here's the wild idea. Considering he can't hit the ball on the day, he can't hit the ball in the outfield in the first place. You want him on base, and he hustles. Why don't you just put Hayward there? Any little detail at this point about having a big power hitter in that spot where they could be fourth. Maybe I'm old school like that. Maybe I got the Whitey Herzog. Maybe I've got the old school like that. But a big, powerful hitter does not deserve to be up there. And I was joking about Hayward, but it's just because he can't get it out of the infield. So I'm just saying, and he hustles to get down to first base. It's his only time he gets on base in the first place. I'm just meaning it by that. Anything right now but a power hitter at the top. Can't be doing that. I mean, if there's any, I know you have to move forward with the baseball. You have to move forward, but that's not forward. That's bringing things back in the first place, and it's causing a very boring game with a lot of strikeouts.
All right, so that was the pundit. Now we got Stevie Bats coming in to say why he's right. And, I don't know. So far, he may be. Let's find out. You got a minute.
Well, it's just, it's understandable. I understand. And hey, I would like to have somebody get on base first, somebody can butt him over or get him over second, and then boom, your 3 and 4 hitters clean up and they have a whole bunch of RBIs and everybody's happy. That's how it works out in a perfect world, and that's how we would love it. And they're going to win, 120 games. Everyone's going to be happy. Unfortunately, that's not the reality. The reality is, again, pure, simple, as easily as I can say it. Contreras is your best hitter. He's hitting over 300 last week. He's starting to find his groove a little bit. Does he still strike out a little bit too much and walk not quite enough? Yeah. But again, there's not a better option on this team right now. I'm hoping Sir Ian of Happ will do that and he can be their leadoff hitter. But as of right now, Contreras is their best hitter. We want more at-bats for our best hitters. So until proven otherwise, why not go with it? Though I do think they need to stick with a lineup and stick with it, but that's neither here nor there.
That was Stevie Bats giving his retort. Now we got Mr. Cubfidentiality coming in to give us a winner. Who do we got this week?
All right, man. Once again, another tough one, man. We're blessed to have very knowledgeable people on the team, They give strong, solid arguments and such. Jacob Christner did an awesome job on justifying why. And, whenever you do a debate like this, you tend to think like a manager, because you're the one that set the order. You're the one that knows everyone's potential, everyone's ills, everyone's talents, and you just adjust your lineup accordingly. And so I, on one side, I do agree with Jacob Christner, in which, you kind of want that power hitter guy to be somewhere around the middle, maybe for the top of the order down to the top middle list, you want to get your guys to just get on base, and then right on the middle of the orders where you get the power hitters. However, on Steve's side, I seem to remember, for example, George Springer was a leadoff hitter for the longest time, and he was a power hitter. He's a power hitter, So, him explaining that, hey, he's their best hitter, and also Steve was speaking from a standpoint of, we want to get this thing going right now. We want to set the pace. We want to set the tone. So I definitely agree where he's coming from on that one. And I'm going to hand it to Steve this week. I thought he did a great job in explaining why he should be at the top of of the order. So congratulations, Steve. You got it this week. Salute.
Stevie Bats with the W. All right, so before we sign off for this week, there were some sad events that happened Saturday up in Buffalo, New York. We live in a great country where there are many different people, different races, different religions. People have many different views. My show tomorrow night, both sides of the coin. Me and Adam don't agree on just about anything. We disagree about most things in life. But what we do is, no matter what, we talk about it, and at the end, we just get along. We as a country have to do a better job of, coming together and stop looking at people being different and, living with a hatred towards anybody. And, it's a shame when people can't go to the supermarket or work at the supermarket and do things that everybody would do on an everyday basis. And, they're losing their life for doing something that, your mom, your wife, your daughter, son, father could be at that store. There's no reason for that. We have to do a better job speaking with our children. This was an impressionable young man. Had someone spoken to him and, got to him before any of this happened, there could be 10 people still alive tonight and 13 people that didn't get shot. We really have to do a better job of just talking to the youth and, having people experience different cultures, seeing things outside of their own view. You don't always have to agree in life, but, you have to respect each other. It's really what you have to do. I think what it says on the screen says it best. And I know, everybody here at Sideline Sports gives our thoughts and our prayers to everybody affected, by the tragedy of Buffalo and by any senseless violence. There's no need for violence. It's never acceptable to do anything like that. This could be your family member. This could be, someone that you can speak with. So that there's never a need for violence. And it's a shame because all it does is tear apart communities. And there's never a need for it. But, so we all give our thoughts and prayers to the people of Buffalo and everyone affected by this. And, we thank you for taking the time to listen to Sideline Sports tonight, Cubfidential. We'll see you guys next week. Have a great night. We're out.